Hi everybody, I'm Morgan.crosbie from Finch Cadillac and you're watching Cars and Crosby. I've got a new wireless microphone system. I'm very excited about that. Car salesman's moving up in the AV world in terms of being able to deliver you guys even better quality content. I really appreciate all the feedback. The constructive criticism is exactly what I need to help me out, as I'm not really familiar with a lot of the tools of the YouTubing world. And so it's exciting for me to add this as a little side adventure so that I can better document all the automotive adventures that I do, and it helps out you guys at home if you're trying to build one of these vehicles, as I'm trying my best to be able to give you guys, in specifically this video, a practical build for a specific scenario or a lifestyle. So if you're watching this video, this is going to be a great video if you're looking at building an Escalade or designing it for yourself, as I've got a lineup of a number of different Escalades that fit the bill for certain things. So we've got the best of the best with a platinum over here, and it's in a long wheelbase. We're going to go over some things on that one. Over here, I've got a reasonably priced Escalade. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but you want to make sure that if you're getting an Escalade and you're concerned about the price point, that you still get some features on it and some things that fit the bill so that you don't feel like you're missing out on the entire experience. And so this is a great example of what you can do if you're trying to keep the price point down. And then over here, I've got a road tripping special, or a cruiser. So if you're doing a lot of driving, this is going to be a great Escalade, and also it's in a new color that we haven't showcased. So if you guys are looking at building a sport trim in particular, I've got a lot of different things also to show you. There is a premium luxury which has got the chrome accents, but on this video I don't have any, so we're going to focus on the sport trim on this one. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's an all Cadillac Escalade episode coming your way. All right, so let's get right into it and start talking about the lifestyle and why different builds will fit. Well, it goes without saying that everyone's life is different, and if you're able to afford an Escalade, it definitely means that you're going to have a unique lifestyle that we can build bespoke an Escalade to fit your needs a lot better. There's a lot of items that you can get on an Escalade, and not a lot of them are an affordable item. So it makes sense, if you're trying to keep this on a specific budget, that we accommodate your needs and priority status. And so this one in particular is one that I'm very excited to be able to share some information on, because when it comes to being in an Escalade, a lot of people are apprehensive about putting a lot of kilometers because they think that it's going to devalue the vehicle. And one of the solutions to that is to put a diesel powertrain in your Escalade. The diesel powertrain has a wealth of benefits that I think, if you're doing a lot of driving, are really going to make it so that you can justify getting a luxury full-size SUV instead of getting more of an economical vehicle because you drive 60,000 kilometers a year. That's usually the kiss of death with a lot of people when they're looking at a high kilometer vehicle, is they don't want to get too much because they figure that they're only going to own it for a few years and then they'll get rid of it. So I'm happy to report that we do have a diesel powertrain. We nicknamed it the Mini Max because it's a Duramax, and normally they're a 6.6 liter 941 foot-pound torque monster that's in our HD trucks, but we've got the small version of that. It's a 3 liter inline 6 from our Duramax lineup, and we call it the Mini Max just because of that. It's got a ton of torque. It's got over 480 foot-pound torque, which makes it so that you can still tow quite a bit. It still has the power of that 6.2 in terms of torque, and that's really what matters at the end of the day, is getting you moving and getting you at that highway speed. But where it really matters, though, is when you're on the highway having a really great ride. That inline 6 is going to make it so that when it's firing the cylinders, it's not creating a lot of vibrations because they're all in a straight line. Inline 6s are notoriously smooth ride, and so that is the first benefit of the diesel, is that it has a very nice ride. The second thing is that they're averaging about 8 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers. I know that's a Canadian statistics. If you go on Google, they'll convert it for you. Off the top of my head, I don't even want to try to guess what that would be, but 8.5 to 9 liters per 100 kilometers is a remarkable statistic in terms of fuel economy. And again, if you're doing a lot of driving, that's going to pay for itself, especially because it's not an option that you have to pay for. A lot of times when you're looking at a diesel option on a Mercedes-Benz or even on some of our lower end trim levels, it can be an expensive option that you have to justify a lot of kilometers before it even pays for that option. With this being the same price on a 6.2 or for a diesel, that completely eliminates that downside right there and then, with it being the same price point. The last thing that I want to talk about is the longevity, and I can't really say for certain because it's a brand new vehicle, but I'm going to make an assumption based on the history of the Duramax and other vehicles, especially full size, that if you put 250,000 kilometers or about 200,000 miles on this, I still think it's going to have quite a lot of a life cycle left in it. And that gets back to that first thing that I was talking about that a lot of people are apprehensive about, and that's making a high kilometer vehicle be an ultra luxury vehicle at the same time. They're afraid that if they buy that $100,000 unit, they put 70, 80, 100,000 kilometers on it in only a few years, that they're going to lose a significant portion of their value. They're obviously going to lose some because of the kilometers, but I feel that with it being a diesel, you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot of people out there that will justify purchasing a vehicle in the high kilometers because it is a diesel, and notoriously they last a lot longer over a longer period of time than a gas cylinder engine would do. So this over here is got the diesel powertrain on it. We're going to go through and do a closer walk up on all of them. And then over here you see we've got a black grille with the monochromatic emblems on it. This one over here is a reasonably priced out model. It doesn't have a lot of features on it, but that's a really great thing because the bones of it, the structure of this Escalade are really great. Everything that's on most of our GM vehicles, they don't make a sacrifice in terms of ride quality and also safety. So to think that when you get an Escalade, you're not having to worry about upselling it to make it so that it has the integrity and the bone structure that you would want on something like a Platinum. That to me is one of the things that I like most about General Motors when we're building a vehicle, is that you're never having to make a sacrifice or add an option on to make it to be what it should be. Coming from the factory, even an entry-level Escalade is going to have a wealth of benefits that I can pass on, and it's mainly just the creature comfort items that you can add on, which you'll see in this Platinum over here. Now the Platinum has got everything. It's basically got all the boxes checked automatically with one easy swoop with the Platinum button, but there is even some things that you can accent onto it above and beyond that, and it's on this specific Escalade and it's on this one as well, which is the Super Cruise. These are the first two Escalades that I've had come in with the new Super Cruise. And I say new Super Cruise because they're always developing it. General Motors has two main things right now that they're focusing on in terms of R&D. The first one is electric vehicles, which a lot of people know about, but the second one is autonomous. We are I would say one of the front runners in autonomous vehicle technology, and I'm very proud to report as well that a lot of that technology is being done at our brand new facility in Ontario. In Markham, Ontario, we have over 1,000 engineers that are working on our autonomous vehicle division, which I'm very proud to report. The Canadian touch is part of always that I like to point out, and to know that there's a lot of high-skilled engineering jobs in Canada that are going towards General Motors making an autonomous vehicle is music to my ears. I'm very proud to say that we are actively involved in the future of the automotive world in Ontario, Canada. So we're going to go into more detail about the Super Cruise. These things just came off the truck, so we will be doing a follow-up video like I do with all of my my unwrapping or unboxing videos, but for the most part, this one I just want to focus on what kind of lifestyle or what kind of needs you would fit. With this being an ESV, obviously if you have a lot of kids, that's going to be a huge benefit with the ESV because you have more room in the back, you have more leg room in the third row, and just more room for life and strollers and whatnot. The Super Cruise on these two models is definitely going to be something that's great for the highway on all major highways in Canada, and there's about at least 1 million kilometers of highways in the States. You can use this Super Cruise system. I will feature it in another video, so I will include a link once I make that video for you guys, as there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that, but that's the last piece of the pie in making this the ultimate cruiser on the road, is by adding Super Cruise with your diesel engine option to make sure that you have even more comfort when you're doing your long haul driving. So let's go into a little bit more detail and do a full walk around on all three of these units. got to start with this one. There's so many cool things to talk about. First things first, satin steel. This color's got a lot of metallic flake in it. Anytime you have a full-size SUV like this, give it a metallic color if you can, because it's gonna help out with keeping it cleaner longer. We've had this color for a while. Here it is on a XT5 in the premium luxury, so you got all the chrome accents there, but on this one, you've got all the black accents. I had a Watkins Glen gray Corvette with the black accents. I really think it's a great combination, and this one, in my opinion, does a good job at showing this color off. First difference over the gas version, you got a little D there, but the 600 is the same. That has to do with the Newton meters of torque, and the 6.2 and the diesel engine both have the exact same 460 foot-pound torque output. And we're using 600 as the Newton meters because that's where all of our electric vehicles are going. This is the first difference that you'll notice. It's got, first off, a green ring to let you know that you're putting the wrong fuel in if you're putting gas, and then DEF, which is your diesel exhaust fluid, or your urea, to make sure that we're helping that environment out and cleaning that diesel exhaust before it goes out into the world. Now, inside, we have a Whisper Beige interior, and it is awesome. I'm very, very happy with how this looks. You've got the black piping on it, which will kind of almost be exact opposite to another one that I have over there. In a second, you'll see the perforated leather on here has got a really cool design. It's a little asymmetrical, and it's got a pattern on here that just looks really, really opulent. And then you also have like a zebra black wood on here for your accent trim, and then some baseball stitching on black on the dash, which is just very, very tasteful in my opinion. This is a really cool interior, and I think it goes really well with the satin steel on the outside. Now, our first look at something that also is different is on the steering wheel here. You'll notice that we've got this bar across here which will illuminate, and then you've got over here an infrared sensor, and that's like the same thing that you have on your iPhone or your other smartphone to use facial recognition. Is basically making sure that if you are driving using Super Cruise, that you're paying attention. It's not trying to watch what you're doing. It's not trying to record you picking your nose while you're driving. It's there to make sure that you're still alert, and if you get 3 strikes with this, it'll deactivate the system, and it'll even pull over to the side of the road and call emergency services if you don't respond. So see this as a very cool safety feature, and you should always be paying attention to the road, even if the car is doing it for you. And to get 3 strikes before it will deactivate the system, that in my opinion is more than enough opportunity for you to be able to make sure that you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing while you're driving. Just because you have this thing that can drive for itself doesn't mean that you need to go to bed or watch a movie and not pay attention to the world around you. Especially if you got a beautiful ride like this, we don't want to get it all wrecked up because you weren't paying attention. So enough about me giving you a lesson in life, and more about just the features inside of this one. This is a short wheelbase. We've got the captain's chairs on here, which is the standard item on all of the Escalades. You have to upgrade it to a bench seat like you see in the third row here. We've got the full panoramic sunroof, which I'm just a huge fan of over the old one that we had. And then we also have still USB-Cs and a 120 volt outlet, even though we don't have the DVD system on here. So that's a really good, clean, in my opinion, interior. It does a really great job. And what I was just talking about with it being the opposite, if you go and take a look over at this Sport with the black interior on it, you'll notice that the piping is in the Whisper Beige, and now the seats are in black. So they kind of reversed the 2 seats options here. You have that same kind of perforated leather pattern that you had on the Whisper Beige. You've still got your speakers in the headrests and everything, but they just switched them over. It's a very cool interior in my opinion. And one thing that a lot of people are really a little bit upset about, or just are vocalizing about it, is that you get the black trims in this, but if you go to a black interior on the Platinum, you don't get that black in there. You go to a burl walnut, which is, in my opinion, something that should be the opposite, but that's okay. There's always time to see new designs and new leathers and stuff that'll come out. But on this is a Sport, and it's not got a lot of options on it. We didn't really want to get the price point too high because we knew that this client would be flipping it into another vehicle. And always, if you're trying to be able to do a short-term commitment to a full-size luxury SUV, the less features you put on it, the better, in terms of being able to make sure that none of them depreciate too aggressively. So if you're looking at this as being a short-term commitment, maybe a year or two, try to keep the options as low as possible. That'll help out with having a very nice resale value. That's just one tip that I've learned over the years. But not a bad interior. You know, black leather obviously is going to be the most resilient if you have kids and whatnot and life that's getting in the way. And I just think it's really interesting seeing the Whisper Beige and the black beside each other. They basically just switch the accents and the stitching colors one between the other. So that I think is pretty cool. And then last but definitely not least is the ESV Platinum. This is the biggest and best of what we have to offer at General Motors. It's the longer wheelbase version, so you'll notice that the back end of this is a little bit longer. If you're looking at a Suburban or a Yukon XL, it's the same platform as this, and you're gonna get about double the amount of storage in the back area here than you would get on a Tahoe or a Yukon or a regular Escalade. Now this is the exact same on all the models. You have your 120 volt AC outlet, you've got your seat controls. On this model, it's gonna be a local model, so we're gonna be doing some updates on this throughout the next few months. But one of the LPO items that we're going to be upgrading right now is putting a cargo sill in here in brushed aluminum. It's going to add just a little bit more durability and style, in my opinion, to the back end of this. Now, these are the entry-level sport rims that you get on a Platinum. They're really great if you wanted to powder coat them all the way black, because they are not inserts. They're solid pieces of aluminum out of here. And then also, if you're in the northern states or in Canada, having the original set to be able to put a winter set of tires on is not a bad idea if you're going to be especially upgrading to a larger rim. And here is where you're going to see a lot of the differences between the old gen and the new gen. Now, just so you know, this is exactly where all this is coming from. This is a fully independent rear suspension now, and that's going to make it so that the deck of the vehicle, so the actual floor, is about 8 inches lower than where you were on the old one, and you have a significant amount of increase in the storage capacity and the leg room in the third row in particular. It's going to make it so that if you have, let's say, 3 kids, or you're always using the third row, you're going to have way more functionality with having storage in the back and not having to worry about the third row passengers complaining about the ride quality or the amount of space that they have. You'll notice in the back there, they've got their USB-Cs. In here on the second row, you've got a complete home entertainment system. If you can do it at home, you can do it inside of this Escalade. You've got HDMIs, USB-Cs, 120 volt AC outlets. You've got 2 big display screens, which I've shown you in other videos, how you can integrate them and even show navigation to the front. There's 7 screens in this Escalade, 1, 2, and then 5 more in the front. It's unbelievable. This full panoramic sunroof, again, another really amazing feature. I'm really happy to see that come on to the Escalades now, and you'll get your first look at the AKG sound system that you have in here. I'm just gonna go to the driver's seat to show you more in detail. On here, you've got speakers in the headrests. You've got speakers in the top here. You got speakers in your door. There's 36 in total. This entire dash here is a soundboard. And it's just remarkable, this studio sound experience that you can have in this AKG. They've done a really good job at making it so that you are definitely feeling like you're in something special when you listen to the sound or of any music. So if you're an audiophile, that's a really great reason to upgrade your Escalade, as it's a standard item on the Platinum, as well as the running boards and the entertainment systems in the back. Now, the luxury doesn't stop there. All the leather in here is real, and it has to do with a philosophy that Cadillac has had for a number of years now called cut and sew. And I'm going to use this door as an example here, where you can see that they've actually hand wrapped this leather on all these panels. And that to me is really, really great. You know, obviously if you're buying, a luxury vehicle, you want to make sure that you're getting something that has high quality, but to know that Cadillac has a policy called cut and sew, where everything on this vehicle has to be real. All of the panels and everything has to be real aluminum and real leather. That to me is, I guess, a standard in the luxury world these days. And to see that we're having the level of detail and luxury on this that you would see on some very ultra high-end luxury vehicles It makes me pretty proud to be a Cadillac employee. Now on these actual seats, this stitch pattern is something that reminds me of the actual Cadillac crest here. You'll notice that they do a really good job at bringing little subtle cues like this Cadillac V here. Those are really things that I like. There's a lot of little Easter eggs around the Cadillac Escalade, and as I go throughout the years, we'll find more. But one of my favorite Cadillac logos has got to be that one in the front that illuminates when you walk up to the Escalade. Massaging seats are standard on the Platinum as well, which is a really great feature. There's a lot of cool different modes that you can do, and they all have different levels of intensity. And then over here you'll see you've got a leather wrapped with baseball stitching top end. You've got your burl walnut inserts, which we were just mentioning in the last one. We were wondering why they went with wood on the Platinum, but then they did the black on the Sports. I'm sure there'll be different ones that'll come out in the future, so this isn't gonna be the only interior that we'll have with black, but for right now, I really do like the Whisper Beige piping that they add onto the Platinum seats, and we've got that beautiful 36 speaker sound system with all those laser cut bezels for the covers in that brushed aluminum. Now here again is the Super Cruise. You'll see you got your light indicators that show you when it's safe to turn. You've got your little RFID, your little facial recognition system to make sure that you're paying attention. It's something that we'll talk about in a future episode, as I'm very excited to see what this thing is capable of doing. Now, with it being a longer wheelbase version, you will have a slightly better ride as well, just because the vehicle has the ability to distribute bumps and stuff like that a little bit easier with a longer frame. And in my opinion, you know, if it's the first time that you've had a full-size SUV, it may be a little bit of a shock to go right to the ESV, but with all the driving assist aids that you have on these vehicles, I don't know how much of a shock it may be, because there are so many driving assist aids that are all standard on the Platinum level and that are an option on the lower levels, which is the driver awareness package or driver assist and technology package. It's the code for it is STI. Right now there's a little bit of difficulty in being able to get it, but there's a lot of things on there that'll make you a lot more confident in a large vehicle if you're not coming from one before. It's going to help out with just situational awareness, but even just having automatic braking. This thing will stop if it thinks that you're about to hit somebody, and that's always a great feature to be able to have. So I hope you guys like this episode. If you're looking at getting a cruiser, having the diesel option and using Super Cruise to help out with those long road trips is definitely going to be a great option. If you're wanting to mix it up from the traditional black and white Escalades, the satin steel is a great option, and because it's metallic, I think it's going to help out with keeping that vehicle looking cleaner for longer. If you're wanting to have a reasonable price point, it'll come in at around 100 grand for a Sport, and that's going to give you all the features that in my opinion are essential on a luxury vehicle, and I'll do a video on that in the future just so you can see a full breakdown of what you get. But everything in this day and age that you would consider an essential item is on there, and you more importantly get that beautiful bone structure that's unique to the Cadillac Escalade with the magnetic ride control and all the sound deadening and the leather that comes with a luxury SUV in the Cadillac lineup. Last, we have this Platinum that I'm in right now with the Super Cruise. It's a full-blown model with a lot of crazy awesome features. One of my favorite features in it has got to be the new refrigerator cooler in here, and in about 5 minutes of it being on, you'll see frost that'll start to form in here. It is the real deal in terms of being a cooler and freezer, and I think that just gives a lot more functionality and use out of a full-size SUV if you're using it for commercial reasons and you want to have drinks for a customer, or if you're just trying to keep your friends and people or your family in the back happy. Having a nice cold drink through the center console is a great addition at a reasonable cost. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helps you out in helping you differentiate what features are best for your lifestyle. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. And if you're interested in doing a bespoke design session on your own very Escalade, please reach out to me as well, as I would love to help you out with that as well. So stay tuned and happy motoring.